Welcome everyone to ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Tonight we'll be participating, all of us, in a fire ceremony. This is a time at which those who have decided, using their free will, that they want to give their love and attention to serving Krishna as the primary focus of their lives. Life goes on one way or the other. And in 5 years, we'll be 5 years older anyway. But if we use that 5 years or 10 years or 5 days or 7 days that we have in this lifetime, which is called in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the rarest opportunity when we get a human body, to think about Krishna and to cultivate our love for him, then we can make our human life a complete success. So those you see here decorated with flower garlands and sitting in the assembly in the association of our exalted head priest, Srivas Pandit Prabhu, are all here to make vows before the sacred fire. And also, all of us are here to pour out our blessings, to encourage those who are taking this step today. So we welcome you to this ceremony. If any of you are here for the first time, we'll be chanting a few Sanskrit mantras, and you can just follow along. And I'll have it on the screen at least. Oh, good, we got both screens back. And so you can follow on the screen. And then I'll say just a few words about the significance of the two kinds of initiations that will take place tonight. And then there'll be the vows themselves, and some of the initiates will be accepting beads to chant on, and also they'll be changing their names, taking a name of Krishna. And we'll also have the name Dāsa for the men and Dāsi for the women. I offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who brought the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the whole world, and in whose footsteps we're following today, as it was his persistent order to carry out the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just as he had done while he was present with us. And he started an organization called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which would preserve the purposes that he had set forth for the organization. And he wished, as did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that people from all over the world would be able to take up the process of bhakti yoga, devotional service, and become purified and happy in their lives. And in the process, purify the world. The first mantra that we chanted tonight gives a solution, the solution that Srila Prabhupada brought, which was that if we're in contact with Krishna, if we're thinking of him, which is one of the ways that we stay in contact with anyone, it doesn't matter where we are, but if we're thinking about that person or place, then we feel and we are in connection. And the verse says that whatever condition we're in, purified or unpurified, when we remember the personality of Godhead, who's lotus-eyed, means he has qualities and features. And of course, the lotus is a beautiful flower. His eyes are beautiful. And by remembering him, then we become purified inwardly and outwardly. And this is what Krishna recommends in the Bhagavad Gita, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto. It's try to remember me and become my devotee and develop a sense of connection with me through service. And I also offer my respectful obeisances to all the acharyas. That means the great teachers of bhakti who have painstakingly passed down the process of devotional service carefully, the way one might pick a mango from the top of a tree and then through a succession of helpers hand down the mango without dropping it haphazardly and having it break. That carefulness of purpose is to maintain the integrity of the teachings, which Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, are prone to be distorted over time. There has to be a heart-to-heart transmission of not just the information, but also the mood in which it's received. This is called the disciplic succession. And all those acharyas have had their students to pass down the message to, but not just in an academic way, to show the lifestyle of devotional service, which means to walk carefully on the earth, to be a kind friend to all living beings, and to organize one's life around the principle of remembering Krishna. In all our activities, we can remember him by dedicating them to Krishna. And I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has inaugurated the Sankirtan movement. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he's appeared in the Kali Yuga age, the age we're in now. It's a long story. But oftentimes nowadays when people say, "Can you offer a blessing?" I say, I pray that you may be in the right place at the right time and be able to take advantage of it. Because that's the prayer I have for myself too. And according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, we're in the right place at the right time. Kalim sabhajayantya gunagya sarabhagina yatra sankirtanena eva sarva swarto bilabhyate. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam says, in this age, we can fulfill all of the human purposes perfectly by one process, and that is devotional service. And it's been simplified. It's simple, but one should follow it strictly. And now for my respectful obeisances to all of you, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarvishcha kripasinabhevacha patitanam bhavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm. It's palpable. And I especially like to honor all the initiates today. Some are taking first initiation, some second. And this is the replacement for gambling. Those who like the stimulation of putting something on the line. A relative once told me that he gambled on football games because, oh, what a difference it makes when you have money in the game. And similarly, when we put ourselves in the game, it's one thing to watch other people or to appreciate it, which is good. But when we say, I'm going to bet my life on this, then it becomes a really big deal. And the kind of exhilaration that you get when you, well, not that today we're going to vow not to, that gamblers get by taking a chance, we get also by saying, Krishna, I'm going to try for this, even though it seems impossible, like a dwarf reaching for the moon, as one poem says, I'm so small, but I can't reach up so high. That was probably politically incorrect, what I just said. But anyway, it came from antiquity. So, congratulations to all of you. It's heartfelt. We know you all, and everyone has a story. Everyone has a way in which he or she is working to improve him or herself. All of you are doing that. And you've come across devotional service, and now you're taking advantage of it in front of everybody, in front of Krishna. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. The human form of life, I mentioned once, is very rare, and this is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, labvam sudulabam idam bahusam bhavante, manushamartanam anityam apihadira. That it's the rarest of rare opportunities to get a human form of life, because according to the Vedas, which give us the information that by which we're following the process of devotional service, say that we're moving from one physical and mental body to the next. We take our mental body with us, and as Krishna answers Arjuna in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 8, Bhuta Bhavud Bhavakaro Visargo Karma Sanchita, he says that by the force of our own consciousness, we're creating new situations in the material world. And those may include, they do include, other species of life besides humans. As we may have noticed at this time of year, our friends the squirrels are quite active. We noticed one last night, and I noted to Nirkula as we were on a walk that he takes care of himself, basically. And from that position, there's no sadhana. There's no squirrel sadhana. There's no whale sadhana. They're powerfully guided by the super spirit, no doubt, and we can see that. Crows fly in a certain direction very swiftly. They know where they're going as they're getting help from within, as is everyone. But if they get the direction to inquire about their lives and maybe make a few little adjustments here and there, as we're getting, they can't heed such advice. So how is it then we get a human form of life? If we came from a squirrel or a whale or an octopus environment, how did we get here? Not by sadhana. It wasn't by request either. Therefore, the Bhagavatam says it's a gift. We've been gifted the human form of life. This is the basis of being appreciative that we have this opportunity. Often we become overwhelmed by the paradox of choice. So many choices, we get bewildered and think, oh, I can't think of what to do, and I also am overwhelmed. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekiha kurunandana. If you can fix your mind on one primary goal, even as you're going about your life and doing what you need to do, then you won't be bewildered. And so we should, first of all, think, I was awarded the human form of life. It has been given as a gift, the greatest gift, because it gives us an opportunity by which we can decide. We can use our free will and say, I'm going to go for this. And that's why love is so sweet. It's because it's by choice only. Every other option, or I should say, I'll start with the subject, Krishna gives every option for us to be separated from him. And when we come to our own choice and say, no, I don't want any other option. I don't want to be a squirrel. I don't want to be a whale. And I also want, in the human form of life, to use my senses in the service of Krishna. This is a big deal. And that's what you're doing today. So you're saying that, Krishna, these senses are meant to be engaged in your service. And this is the very definition of devotional service. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam, tat pratvena nirmalam, rishikena rishikesha, sevanam bhaktir uchite. This means that we don't own this body. It's a kind of an Airbnb situation. And we can use the body in Krishna's service. Anyone who's been doing this for a while knows how nice that is. For instance, we just had Janmashtami, and the devotees were serving all day long. They were making prasadam, some were cleaning, sweeping, others were hearing and chanting, others were parking cars, taking care of shoes, and everyone was happy. No one ate anything the whole day. I barely took a sip of water, anybody? But everyone was happy because they were engaging their senses in Krishna's service. So the verse I just quoted as a definition of devotional service says, if you dedicate your senses in service to the master of the senses, named Hrishikesh, then your senses become purified. And then we become properly aligned and we become happy. So the next point is, what's this initiation about exactly? The first initiation we call Harinam initiation, because the holy name is not just a regular utterance. It's not just syllables. Rupa Goswami says, Paramakshara. It's a supreme combination of syllables, but there's much more to be said about this. The basis of understanding why chanting Hare Krishna is an effective process can be understood from the Srimad Bhagavatam in the chapter called Prayers by the Personified Vedas. Is everyone okay so far? You sure? Okay. I won't be very long. I just want to make a few points because it's important, and I hope it's important. So, Shukadeva Goswami asked Maharaj Parikshit, how is it that apparent material elements can be used in service? More particularly, he says, how is it that we can receive and transmit sound that's non-material using material implements like the senses? And Shukadeva Goswami says, well, it's a good question. It's been asked before. There have been other conversations about this. Narnarayan Rishi, for instance, had discussed it previously. And before that, there was a discussion among sages in a village somewhere in a higher planetary system, he says, where the Kumaras apparently were present. And here's the answer that's given, why it's possible. Because there is a God. This is really important. Because there is a Supreme Controller, and the Supreme Controller is not a dead stone. Supreme Controller is a kind of maybe a title that may sound a little daunting. But actually, the Vedas describe Abhigna and Swarat. The Supreme is fully conscious and aware and has will and is also independent. And there's a purpose to the entire creation. Actually, two purposes, but one is not considered worthy. So one purpose is to give those who wish to experiment with their independence and live separately from the Supreme, to live in various situations of life, to try to enjoy the material nature. And the other purpose, which is the real purpose of the creation, it's why it takes place in the first place, is so that the souls that are here can take up the process of devotional service and become purified and realize their relationship with Krishna, or rediscover and reconnect. Now, how does that answer the question? Because Krishna is all-powerful, he's also all-knowing and is omniscient. And all of this is his energy. Daivahyeshu gunamayi, mama maya, duratyaya. He has full control over every atom in the universe and therefore can transform matter into spirit. Therefore, when those through the cyclic succession who pick up the mood, as I mentioned earlier, of pure devotional service, that there is a God and I want to worship him, then Krishna opens that channel. He purifies the sound vibration, or he makes it transcendental so that it may touch us deeply. We can perceive him directly through the sound vibration that comes from his holy name. And by chanting Hare Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, we purify our consciousness. What's more, we begin to realize that Krishna is personally present in his name. In the beginning, this may not be apparent. So it's important to understand our relationship with Krishna. And as we're chanting, to pray for help. And as we do, gradually we'll come to feel the touch of the transcendental energy through the chanting of Hare Krishna. Of course, we may feel it any time, even from the very beginning, as I was mentioning earlier in the day. So those of you who are taking this first initiation are making a vow so that you can keep steady in the chanting of Hare Krishna throughout your lives and make this the fulcrum of power in your lives. And also, there's a few rules and regulations. Of course, it says there's no hard and fast rules for chanting Hare Krishna, which is true. However, if we're consistent in the chanting, therefore it's important to make a vow how many times I'll chant every day so we don't get cheated out of it by our minds. Our minds are great cheaters, aren't they? Yes. They can say, well, just, maybe take a little sip of water, and then they'll say, well, maybe we should have a little ice cream with that. Next thing you know, you're sitting in the corner with an empty gallon of ice cream and a spoon in your hand and a forlorn look on your face, dreading to look at the scale in the next couple days. So we don't want to cheat ourselves. Therefore, we use our intelligence to make a vow to fix this into our lives. And also, these are called regulative principles of freedom, by which we preemptively pick out the ways in which we can be waylaid in our discipline, and we say, okay, I'll just transform these into, I'll find a substitute for these. After all, nobody actually needs to drink any substance that you can ignite. It seems to be a popular pastime, people all over the world. I know when you walk into the duty-free shop in Delhi, it's the first thing they'd like you to have. All the important things in life, starting with whiskey, then perfume, and chocolate. So when we take these vows, and that includes some things, what is it? All these things no? Everything no. Everything no? And then there's the things that we vow to do. And Prabhupada, as our founder Acharya, only asked us to do one thing, and that's chant at least 16 rounds a day. So that's the one thing to do. So you'll be making these vows today, and this will give you strength and the mercy of the holy name and the power of the vow, which is considerable. And you also accept a name, which will be Dāsa or Dāsi. Spoiler alert. Dāsi for the women and Das for the men, which means you're a servant, but more so a servant of a servant of the servant of the servant. This mood of being a servant of the devotees, a million times removed, is very powerful. And then there's those who are taking second initiation. You already accepted first initiation, been following your vows very carefully. And today you'll be, actually everyone here has already accepted their mantras. We did it earlier, and they'll be consecrating that acceptance in before the fire today by saying Swaha. And this mantra initiation is a process through which we come closer to Krishna, and we help to control our senses so that we can chant Hare Krishna with more feeling. Because when we receive these mantras that you got today, and we chant them 3 times a day, as we're enjoined to do, then the mind starts to become attracted to the form of Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna through these beautiful mantras. And then you'll find that the chanting of Hare Krishna is more appealing. Those who have taken second initiation should dedicate themselves to the qualities, developing the qualities of brahmanas. First of all is cleanliness. Everyone should be clean. First day I came to the temple in San Francisco, and with a few other new bhaktas, we met with the head pujari, and he sat us down and he said, you have to keep your nails clean. I said, I joined a spiritual movement, and here's my first instruction. But it's a good place to start. Your nails should be clean, properly manicured. Don't let yourself become unkempt. Brahmanas should be very clean. And the cleaner we are, the more in sattva gun we are. We should also be truthful, even if it hurts to tell the truth, because it'll implicate us somehow. Then we'll learn the next time not to get implicated. Just do the right thing first. Austerity is the wealth of the Brahmins. Tapas tam tapa etena tavas siddhir bhavishyati. This has the best purport in all of the books that we have. It's got 4 words in it. It says, its purport is clear. And the verse says that tapas tam tapa etena tavas siddhir bhavishyati. By chanting your mantra, you'll reach perfection. Just keep that in mind, just as when a doctor gives you medicine and says, take all of it till it's all done. Of course, yours is never done because it gets sweeter as you take it more and more. So we'll be having the devotees come up and accept a certificate, and that will be for those who are taking second initiation, and then for those who are taking the Harinam initiation, we'll have you come up one by one also and give your vows, take a new name, and accept your beads, which I've chanted on with the prayer that please give power to these sincere devotees to always stay close to the chanting of Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone who flew out here. It's not easy leaving your house. You got to think what to take and what to leave behind, and you always forget something until you get home and realize you had it the whole time. It was in the other pocket. It's an austerity, but it's worth it, because for us to come together and have an opportunity to realize how lucky we are to take vows together and to just chant with abandon and realize that Krishna's given us everything and always has. And he's just waiting for us to enter into the continual festival in the spiritual world. Actually, we don't have to wait. We're already in it, in case you haven't noticed. The festivals never stop, right? That's not bad, right?